What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with a breakdown and a preview for the weekly reset and updates for Destiny 2 which are coming this week on the 19th of August. So, as we head into this week, of course, Solstice of Heroes comes to a conclusion for the year. We've only had a couple of weeks of it this time around, which is a bit different, but it does pave the way for another event that we'll get in a couple of weeks' time. On top of that, this week we get another game update, so the weekly patches continue, which is certainly nice in one respect. At least Bungie are fixing things, and we're getting some updates to some of the stuff that is a bit frustrating in the game at the moment. That does mean a bit more downtime though ahead of the weekly reset, so we'll talk about what to expect there. Otherwise, we'll round up weekly challenges, rewards featured this reset, and everything important worth knowing regarding content in the next week or so. So if you guys find the video helpful, do us a massive favor and hit subscribe as we're working our way slowly towards 600,000 subscribers. That would be very much appreciated, but otherwise for now, let's get into it. So in terms of content that will actually refresh and rotate, of course, there's a bit less of it, which is featured these days because of the way Bungie have kind of designed the portal. Admittedly, this will be a somewhat quieter week for the game, probably technically one of the quietest so far after launch, although a couple of things are coming up. We should mention initially, the Kepler weekly missions that we can find right here will reset, so they have a chance to drop a piece of tier 4 or 5 loot depending on where you are in the power band. I think if you're over 350 power, the rewards from these will be tier 4. If you're over 400 power, they will be tier 5. So if there are any Kepler related things, like the hand cannon, machine gun, or indeed the armor pieces that you want to try and pick up, then it's worth diving in and completing those if you can on mythic difficulty. Of course, other difficulties will give lower tier rewards, which is cool, but if there are any specific things you want to get, don't forget to go and attune to them at the Altar of Relativity here in Caldera first. Otherwise, we've got weekly challenges for this reset. The first one is Lone Wolf to complete activities in solo ops, and higher performance grades earn bonus progress. That one actually lists a Nightfall weapon as one of the rewards, so I'm assuming that will be an older Nightfall weapon from the pool. I can't see the full loot pool for that, but kind of weird that it's featured. Nonetheless, if you want to try and pick up any older Nightfall weapons, you might get something decent there. Otherwise, there is Best Served Cold to defeat targets in portal activities with stasis abilities, and we get bonus progress by defeating opposing guardians or dealing stasis final blows. There's also Stranded to defeat guardians in any Crucible playlist with strand damage. Then we have Absolutely Stunning to stun champions. And finally, Power Trip to deal final blows with power ammo in portal activities. So those are the challenges. This is the last but one listed week of actual challenges for this episode, or season, should I say. Although I think we will get some more introduced in Ash and Iron, which is dropping in just less than a month now. On Kepler, of course, if you're running Desert Perpetual, we have renewed chances to pick up the rewards, and of course that includes the exotic, the Whirling Ovation, so good luck if you're still on the hunt this week. Outside of activity content though, we are getting another patch on Tuesday, so this will be update 9007, and as always we can expect a little bit of downtime. Bungie have listed just over an hour and a half of downtime ahead of the weekly reset, so less than a couple of hours of disruption in total, and weekly reset will drop at 10 AM Pacific, 6 PM UK, as always, on Tuesday. I'll keep you posted with the full patch notes when we get to them though. And with the conclusion of the Solstice event right here, of course this won't return for another year, and it's been a shorter event than what we would normally see, which is kind of interesting given that this week there isn't anything necessarily taking its place that we're aware of, so I'm not sure why Bungie made it only 2 weeks, but in this final day, of course, chances at the weapons and armor, all of the triumphs and objectives for Solstice are still available. Plus, if you're at 400 power and Guardian rank 9, you can get guaranteed tier 5 Solstice loot by getting an A-grade performance score in activities. So in solo ops, for instance, this can be achieved by getting a previewed score of B+, and as long as the point score is about halfway between B+ and A, you should be able to get an A when actually clearing all of the objectives in the activities, and that will give consistent tier 5 drops. So whether it's tier 5s or tier 4s, whatever it is, that should also apply to upcoming events, but take advantage of it in this final day before Solstice leaves if you can. Otherwise, this should also apply to other upcoming events, and we know that September 2nd will see the return of Heavy Metal. And there are a couple of new weapon rewards which we've previewed that'll be dropping in that. It includes the sword that was actually advertised for Arms Week, at least according to the database, so I think 2 weeks from now and there will be at least a couple of weapons to go after that may pique the interest of some players, so I'll keep you posted on that when Bungie give us details. Otherwise, over here in the portal, Trials will return once again on Friday, so uninterrupted Trials weekends, and it basically will pick off from where we leave off from this last weekend. so that will return for the daily reset on Friday. Otherwise, over here in the World tab, which is slightly less grey after Bungie's patch last week, things kind of tick over as they have been, I guess. We will get different activities featured down here on the bottom row, although not all of them actually seem to have consistent rewards anymore. You can still do 0 hour to get Outbreak Perfected, which is featured this season. And there are chances that the exotics that come from any of the dungeon and raid activities, so if you need to work on any of those legacy rewards, I guess, as we should refer to them now, then you can continue to do so. Otherwise, at this reset, Eververse will no longer be Solstice focused, so I'll keep you posted with the inventory for that on Tuesday as well. And the one final piece of featured content folks like me to cover is the Ascendant Challenge. I know some folks still run those, so this week it should be the Keep of Owned Edges, which is found via Harbinger Seclute, so not difficult to get to, but if you want to know the location, I'll run a clip at the end of the video. Look at that, potential reward, rare gear. Get hyped! Otherwise, for today, guys, I will keep you posted with updates when we get them from Bungie. At this point, we're kind of waiting out the next 2 or 3 weeks to get towards Ash and Iron, or Heavy Metal in the meantime for any folks interested in that. And we know there'll be more patches and changes to systems, not least, Bungie have said they'll continue to work towards adjusting power reward drops and the potency of rewards across different pinnacle activities, fire team ops and things like that. So hopefully we'll get more of those updates very soon, and as always, I will keep you posted. But for today, that's what we have to round up. If you found the video helpful, a rating really does help me out on the channel. Be sure as well to get subscribed and I can keep you posted with everything related to the game. But otherwise, thank you as always for tuning in. Don't forget to say goodbye to Space Grandma until she returns in October, looking extra spooky. Oh no, that's just the way she looks, isn't it? I forgot she doesn't actually do the dressing up. Ooh. Right. Have an awesome day.